Woof, little voice crack there. Welcome back to another episode of the Seventh Rounders. We are fired up this week. John's pissed off about things that we'll get to. I'll touch on that in a second. I'm happy. Connor's definitely happy. I think Connor had a good weekend. He's ready to go. I had a decent weekend. I had a good night, so I'm ready to go. John's angry. We'll get to that, as I said. Anyways, this episode is brought to you by Paper Clips. I used a lot of paper clips this weekend for the first time in a while. Let me tell you that. It's more of an organizational tool. Oh, John's fist pumping. Give me a nice fist pump. Let's go, boys. Let's go. This is a big fucking episode. Let's go. Paper clips.
I'm fired up about paper clips, dude.
Paper clips. I was organizing stuff. I had an exam this morning. I was just like, paper clips. This is the best way to organize.
You know what? Put them in there with IKEA. For me,
paper clips, IKEA.
Until now, that's where they.
George Foreman Grill. Paper clips.
I get fired up when someone just beats you like paper clips beat me.
Yeah, any of them. So I'll tell you where you can find them. Let me tell you. Okay, John. Let me tell the folks where they can.
Out of business, dude.
That's fine. That's fine. I accept it. Let me tell the people where they can find us. They can find us on Twitter, first of all, at 7th Podcast. They could also find us on IG, the Instagram, the Gram, at 7th Rounders Pod. And they can listen to us, not just see us, listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts at 7th Rounders Podcast. Again, that's the number 7 followed by TH Rounders Podcast.
I also have an important announcement. As a group, we're going to be launching a website hopefully here in a few weeks, get some apparel out there for the fans. The boys are also going to, write up a couple blogs so you can really dive into Chad's brain if that's something you're interested in. Other than that, I tell you what, last night was absolutely incredible. There's going to be some Thrones spoilers at the end of the show here because that's what I'm going to talk about for my last call. It was absolutely incredible. I don't want to touch too much more on that. And the last thing I want to say is one of my favorite NFL players, Sebastian Janikowski, recently announced his retirement. For those of you that don't know, he was a kicker taken in the first round by the Oakland Raiders back in 2000. He finally said goodbye to the game he loved. And that leaves only Tom Brady from the draft class of 2000. I need him out too soon. Other than that,
you know what?
Excited to get going.
I recall it was one of the most heartbreaking moments of the past NFL season. Janikowski, he broke his whole hamstring off at one point, I'm pretty sure. It was a long kick. It was 50 plus. And I just remember him immediately grabbing it, hopping around. And he was a tank.
Did he make
was a big guy. I think he did.
He is big. He's 250.
Dude, but when I saw him pull his hamstring, I knew that was when his career was over.
And last tidbit on Janikowski, NFL players around the league say that he's one of the best partiers in the entire game. So he really did it right, and I'm wishing him the best in retirement. Hopefully he finds a nice beach. I'm sure he has a hot wife. That's usually how it works for those.
January 5th, 2019. This was the wild card game. A little spontaneous in the booth with John Clemens. Janikowski, 57 yards here right before the half. He's going to put his whole leg into this one. And the kick is wide right, and Janikowski grabbed his leg immediately, and he can't even put what. Oh, the big man is down. He looks like a walrus who's been attacked by a great white. Immediately pulls his hamstring, grabs at it, falls to the ground, gets up, gritty player, and hobbles off on his own feet. And you got to imagine the illustrious career of the former first-round draft pick Sebastian Janikowski might have just come to an end.
Can I ask you when you'd ever see a great white come up against a walrus?
And I could be wrong. I watched Planet Earth 2. Each episode 3, maybe 4 times. I love it that much. I love our planet that much.
Shout out David, what is it?
David Attenborough.
Yeah.
Well, probably, and he might honestly be the most talented narrator. I would put him top 2.
I tell you what, he could literally talk about anything in the world. I would listen to it.
Oh yeah. Oh God, yeah. No, but as you were saying, I can't remember your question. What was your question?
When would you see a great white come up against a walrus?
Australia.
Dude, in the ocean. What do you mean? They both live in the ocean.
I'm saying, do great whites do they live in those Arctic conditions? Is that possible?
Dude, the walruses have adapted. They've moved beyond that, dude. You see them, they're popping up all over the world. Global warming. They've become more warm-blooded. Don't
All right,
quote me on that.
They weren't cold-blooded to begin with. I'm going to say that.
This is where we need our summer intern statistician to just pull up the numbers, by the numbers, walrus, how far towards the southern half do they travel? Do they get closer or further away from the prime meridian?
The prime meridian is one of my favorite words in the English dictionary.
That's horizontal, right? The equator is vertical. Is that backwards?
Yeah. Backwards.
The prime meridian the prime meridian just goes through the middle.
Longitude and latitude.
Yeah.
I tell you what, Chad, what you said is very ambiguous because both go through the middle.
Yeah.
I know.
If someone can explain to me how time zones work, absolutely fascinating concept. Some guy literally was just like, well, since the sun sets later here, we're going to need to go about 2 hours back from this area, and so on and so forth.
Now listen to this.
But that's what I don't... Go ahead.
You go ahead.
Okay, that's what I don't understand. So Chicago is like an hour behind us, but then you go directly south 2 hours. That's where South Bend is, and it's the same time zone as us. So like how they're the same longitude. They're the same longitude. How are they different time zones?
Dude, you can't argue the system like that. But just imagine, hypothetically, if 2 a.m. on the opposite side of the world, daylight, and over here, darkness. I mean, it'd be a completely different ballgame.
I'm thinking the world's flat. I'm Kyrie Irving it.
All right, that's a conversation for another day, no doubt.
Can I do my in the news?
Yeah, go ahead. What do you got for us today?
I've got two of them. So one of them is more of a movie thing. So I'm not going to give any spoilers. Don't worry. I saw yesterday Avengers Endgame. So just a little lead up to it. So I have this website. Anyone wants to use it, 123movies.com. You can essentially
acts like no one's ever heard of that website before.
I know. I found it. So I go on there and I'm like, no chance it's on here already. And it says on there coming soon. But I click on it. And I get let's just say it's not HD, it's not standard D. It's literally like, and I watched it. I watched the full 3 hours.
It was like a GIF.
It was recorded in a movie theater in an Asian country.
Wait, let me get this straight. Let me get this straight real quick, just really fast. So, arguably, not even arguably, the biggest movie of your lifetime, purely in terms of
second biggest.
What's bigger?
Dark Knight Rises.
Didn't generate nearly the same revenue. So I'm saying in terms of revenue, just listen.
Okay.
Biggest, historically the biggest, right?
Yeah.
You decide instead of a normal person, what they would do is pay the $11 to go to the movie theater, right, and watch it as you're supposed to. But you decided what you wanted to do is pull up
the system.
A pirated movie website. Okay, following me?
Yes.
And this person recorded it on their TI-84 calculator.
Yes.
And you wanted to watch that. That's how you wanted to watch the biggest movie of your life.
Yes.
I respect that.
Listeners, tweet at us. Let us know if
Pisses me off,
Chad just performed the most disrespectful move in movie history by watching an incredible movie that I haven't seen yet, but plan on going to the theaters like a normal human being. This guy pulled up an Asian. I don't even know. It was an Asian.
I feel so bad. I don't respect it at all. I respected it at first because I can understand you're, college student, you want to save money. But then I was like, you know what? No, you got to be better than that. So I take that back. Terrible move, disrespectful, and you might get voted off the island within the next 15 minutes if I get pissed off enough.
Okay, so let me defend myself a little bit. So I had an exam this morning.
No,
it's undefensible. Undefensible.
Okay, I'm not going to defend myself, but can I finish the story first?
You can't scissor. You can't scissor like that.
No, it's funny. It's funny. Hear me out.
Connor, you scissored.
So, scissor. Anyhow, so we're watching it, and the quality's not great, but also not horrible. Like, you can see everything and whatnot. And then like there's a funny moment and you hear laughing. And I literally think like there's people in the house behind me like watching laughing. And I realize it's people in the movie theater where it was recorded that are laughing at these funny parts. So it makes it even funnier. And then to top it all off, like middle of the movie, all of a sudden there's like figures, like dark figures walking across the screen. I realize it's people in the movie theater standing up to go to the bathroom.
I'll tell you what. That says a lot about you as a person. Like I get genuinely pissed off when I watch a movie and it's not in HD. So
I'm immediately flagging you for character flaws. NFL draft related, you're off my board entirely. I'm not even considering you at this point.
Okay.
You're off the board.
So what else is in the news for us today? Because that really made me angry.
Okay. So the second one is obviously NFL draft finished up, and I'm sure we'll hit on that at some point. But there was the first 2020 mock draft out. This one is by Jason McIntyre. I think he works for Fox, not positive. So just a couple notables. I'm sure you'll get more in touch with them as the college football season goes on and later next year. But long story short, he has the Bucks with the first pick taking Tua Tagovailoa. Other notables, Chase Young, the defensive end from Ohio State, is going second to Arizona. We have, and we can argue about this if you want, I think right now, if he was in the NFL, he'd be a top 4 receiver, and that is Jerry.
I'm already okay.
I'm going seventh to
I knew I was going to get pissed off.
Seventh to Jacksonville. We have T. Higgins.
What are you kidding me? A top 4 receiver in the NFL, Jerry Jeudy.
He's the best route runner in the world. But let me finish, and then we can argue. So we have T. Higgins, wide receiver from Clemson, who a lot of people know. They have him going 11th to Buffalo.
He might be better than Jeudy right there. T. Higgins, I might take him over Jeudy.
So we have another Alabama receiver, Henry Ruggs, going 15th to Kansas City. That's scary. Jake Fromm, the quarterback from Georgia, who I think is very overrated, going 20th to New Orleans. CeeDee Lamb, the stud wide receiver from Oklahoma, 27th to the Jets. Keep that in mind. The Jets with the 27th pick. We have then 3 running backs in a row to end the first round. We have 30th to Minnesota, Najee Harris from Alabama. We have 31st, DeAndre Swift from Georgia to Indianapolis. And then we have 32nd, J.K. Dobbins from Ohio State to Philly. So
they say Colts-Eagles Super Bowl, huh?
They have a Colts-Eagles Super Bowl, yes, sir.
It's interesting. Okay. Yeah, so Judy's definitely nowhere near the top 4 if he was in the NFL right now. That was.
Chad, I want to frame this for you. So you're going to tell me that out of a combination of Julio Jones, Antonio Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Michael Thomas, and
Odell Beckham,
and AJ Green, Jarvis Landry, you're telling me he's in the top 4 of those guys right now?
Yes.
That is the most atrocious thing you've ever said on the show.
He is the best route runner I have ever seen. He is better than anyone in the NFL currently. He has the athleticism, not quite a Julio or an Odell level, but I think he's right there with AB and probably not quite Hopkins level. Hands, I think he's up there with any of them. You guys can shake your head.
Stop, dude. Just stop.
Listen, Chad, that's like me saying, oh, yeah, like, you know what? I had a decent high school career. I'm already top 4 in college just because I dominated high school players.
You guys go and watch the tape like I watched the tape and then get back to me.
Dude, do me a favor and go watch Julio Jones college tape. Do me a favor and go watch Odell's college tape. And do me a favor and go watch AJ Green's college tape.
He just has to watch pro tape.
He is the best Alabama receiver I've ever seen. He's better than Ridley. He's better than Julio Jones. And that is a fact. He's the best Alabama receiver ever.
No way. No one's ever going to be better coming out of college than Calvin Johnson in my eyes still.
It's impossible.
I'm not gonna disagree with that.
Talking about alley-oops, though, John, I'm about to serve you up a big alley-oop right now. I know you had something you really wanted to talk about. Your boy Quavo, you really like that verse, is what you were saying to us earlier?
Listen, the biggest alley-oop, Quavo's best song, second verse in that song. I'm not even afraid to throw it in the ring. Candidate for verse of the last decade. It's phenomenal. It's poetic. It's poetry.
So that had me thinking about some features that really got me fired up. Drake's verse in Stay Schemin' has to be top 5. no question. Drake's really good on the feature game. People got to give my guy 2 Chainz some love on features. He's on every song at this point, it feels like.
He ran the features game for a long time.
T.I., or not T.I., T-Pain, I mean. He had some decent features.
Back in the day, dude. He was the original 2 Chainz feature guy, and then that's how 2 Chainz really kind of blew up feature game. What,
Go
Chad?
ahead, Chad. Yeah,
So I have 2. I know you're fed up with me right now, but my 2 favorite features, obviously this is biased because I'm different musically than you two.
It'd be like Red Hot Chili Peppers.
No, Eminem and Forever, and then Big Sean in a song with Logic. Those are my 2 favorite features. So.
He says,
I know what song you're talking about.
He goes in a song with Logic. He doesn't even know
what song you're talking about. It's a good song. I can't think of the name of it either. It's a good
Isn't
song.
it 44 bars or 44 more?
No.
Well, anyway.
It's called. Oh, you want to know the name? It's called "All Right" by Logic.
Yeah, it is. That's a good song.
Right. Yeah,
it's a good song.
Those are my
points
favorite
back,
too.
but you still lose a ton of points from Judy.
That's
rolled over and you're already. I mean,
no respect for the Eminem verse in Forever.
No, I mean, the thing with that song is every single verse is incredible. There's just too many big names in that song to single out one verse, in my opinion.
Fair enough.
So, I mean, in the news, did you guys see the NBA officiating admitted to making 83 missed calls in Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals last year? Rockets should have won. They said the Rockets should have won that game.
No, was it the NBA officials saying that they made 83 mistakes, or was it that the Rockets protested about 83 calls? I forget the exact numbers.
Well, the memo said the referees likely changed the eventual NBA champion. So
that's actually pretty crazy to think about. I did want to touch on the refereeing and game 1 of that series.
Well, so that was from the Rockets. They never sent that, but it was communicated. Like, that's what they said. It's crazy.
Yeah, so for those of you that literally live under a rock and haven't turned on SportsCenter in the past, 2 days, the Rockets are up in arms because they think Harden and Chris Paul and Eric Gordon were getting fouled everywhere against the Warriors. They thought it was a problem last year, as John alluded to. I don't know if I can get behind it. I mean, every team can say that there's calls that are missed in a game,
Listen, I completely agree. I think officials, just like everyone else, are human, and it's almost like, depending on an MLB game, obviously the strike zone is going to be different. So, in a sense, these 3-pointers, all of them, Harden's are. I'm specifically talking about these threes he shot are going to be 50-50 calls, and it just depends on the night and the ref. And the ref was consistent, not calling them.
He does kick out his legs a lot.
He does. I think it's a little deliberate. I don't think it should be a foul anymore. I think they just gotta let the guys play. Just let the boys play. Stop being so deliberate about it is what I'm trying to say to the Rockets.
Here's my defense though. Like, say you let those calls go and say he messes up his ankle like Kawhi did against the Warriors last year. I mean, that's literally a playoff changing play. So it'll be interesting to see how they call it in game 2. I personally think that it might be too far in the Rockets' head, and I think the Warriors might come out and smoke them in game 2. I just think if you're not fully focused against that Golden State team, you're going to get slaughtered.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree more.
But here's the thing. Do you think the referees are going to call the game in favor of the Rockets? Or do you think they'll double down?
I think they'll double down. I think it's too important to have the Warriors in the final. Personally.
So you're of the opinion that it's somewhat rigged?
Yeah.
Yes and no. I agree with what you're saying. I just think they're at the point where it's so controversial that they're not going to change their stance in a sense. And if there's one team that I don't know, just from like a perspective of like it would be one of the biggest upsets if the Rockets beat the Warriors in a playoff series. But at the same time, I think just the popularity of the NBA will take a hit if it's the Rockets in the NBA Finals against the Celtics.
See, here's my thought on that is I think it's like you said, like it's a big controversy at this point. They don't really know how to handle it. And I think it's such an easy out to just continue to call the game in favor of the Warriors because they were expected to win anyways. So, most people will be like, hey, officiating was kind of bad, but the Warriors would have won that series regardless.
Just to confirm with you guys, they keep the same officials for the full 7 games, correct?
No.
It changes?
Yeah.
So then maybe not. Honestly, if it's new officials for each game or every couple games, then I mean, depending on the crew that's working the game, it could completely change. I don't think if it's new officials in there for game 2, I don't think they're just going to call it just because of how the officials from game 1 called it. I think they're going to call it how they see it. So
just to add to that point, I could be wrong about the first couple rounds, but I believe that how the officiating system works is there's a select number of refs chosen to referee the playoff games. And then they assign a couple, I want to say 2 or 3 different crews to each series. And then as the playoffs progress, they cut down on the number of refs. So it's like an honor to get selected to officiate in the finals, obviously. I don't know. I wanted to touch on that. I think it's overblown, honestly. I did see the Steve Kerr gave a video interview today, though, and he flopped when a reporter got too close to him. I kind of chuckled at that. I guess
Connor, I mean, how do you feel about the playoffs, the NBA playoffs? I feel like you were going to head that direction.
Yeah,
I feel like I was a little telepathy. Yeah. I had a look in your eyes, and I was like, okay.
Let's head right into it.
Boy. Transition time, Johnny, is what I said to myself. I said, we'll throw Connor a bone. We'll throw him a little ball up. Biggest alley-oop.
So
AJ, just throw in a little sound effect right now, like bam, like alley-oop. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball. All right, Connor, go ahead.
I just want to say Dwayne Wade to LeBron James on the Miami Heat, still the greatest alley-oop I've ever witnessed. NBA playoffs, we're in round 2 now officially. Not too much to report on yet because there's only been a few games. The Trailblazers and the Nuggets series starts tonight. Pretty exciting series if you're like an avid NBA fan. If you don't really love the NBA, I don't think you're going to watch this series, but there's some exciting young players, and Dame Lillard and McCollum, obviously amazing. Over in the East, we have the Sixers are currently beating the Raptors. They're down 1-0 in the series, though, so that's a game to keep an eye on. Warriors are up 1-0, and then in a surprising game, the Celtics absolutely dominated the Milwaukee Bucks, the 1 seed in the East. Al Horford, I tell you what, he is an incredible defender. He absolutely locked down Giannis. I mean, Giannis still finished with 22, but if you can, make him miss enough shots, you're going to win the game. And I'm legitimately worried because I cannot stand to see another Boston team win a title. They got me worried that they're going to make it out of the East. I don't even want them getting to the finals. So
yeah, I would like to say a couple things on the NBA note. So during the end of the regular season, I know we had talked about our favorites from the East and the West, and mine was Toronto, and I'm happy with that pick at the moment. However, Boston scares me a lot. I would like to flash back to last week when I said the Utah Jazz. Just pretend like I didn't say anything about the Jazz. I'm not going to pick Boston to make it out of the East at the moment. I'm still picking the Toronto. However, Boston, especially after game 1, they scare the shit out of me.
So I want to touch on one thing from that series. What are your thoughts on the fact that Kyrie Irving is still undefeated in the playoffs without LeBron James? Is that more him or is that more the team he's playing for?
I think it's insignificant, and I think it's just the team that he's playing for.
I mean, they drew the Pacers, and that was, they Pacers couldn't score for shit. I'll be honest, they could have had me out there. So
yeah,
that was not that was probably the most likely sweep I've ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah, that was pretty predictable. The Pacers were basically playing with a AAA team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they fought. They did fight him, but
Yeah. I'll get into it with Thrones. It was kind of like the fight last night. They were kind of there, but they lost anyways. So
I have a question, NBA related. Then I'll go to John with his thoughts. If you were to pick a how do I put this? A playoff MVP at this point. Would you go Lillard or Durant? Or I mean, unless there's someone else that you consider, but at this point, I think it's between Lillard and Durant. Who would you go with?
So I'm gonna go with Lillard just because of how great the Warriors are as a team. So we talk about most valuable player should be the one that's most important to the team. We talked about that a couple weeks ago with Giannis and Harden. Like if you take Durant off the Warriors, I mean they literally won a championship without him. You take Lillard off the Trailblazers, they don't even scrape the playoffs. So I'm gonna go with Lillard right now. And the fact he had 50 points and that game winner from about Vietnam in that game against the Thunder, I got to give it to him at the moment. But like I said, that round 2 matchup starts tonight, so it'll be interesting to see if he can do it against a different team.
I also go with Lillard. Connor, what you said right there was absolutely beautiful, and I don't even need to say anything else.
I'm like Dr.
The tweet of the guy who put "Father stretch my hands" on the Lillard jumper.
I want to clarify that it was a woman that posted that tweet, just so no one gets offended. The tweet I saw of it was a woman, but it was great video, absolutely phenomenal.
Yep.
I
recommend.
I saw another one that had the Titanic theme song. That song never misses.
Nice. That's nice.
What other song did I find? I think there might have been a Wu-Tang Clan song on one of them. That play just times up so perfectly with a lot of songs.
It does. The little see you later, little wave goodbye. That was against your team, Connor. I'm sorry.
I tweeted about it, so I literally should hate him, but he's almost impossible to hate at this point, is my opinion. How do you not root for that guy? While we're on Lillard, I want to talk on this, some more serious matters. Someone asked him the other day about what it was like to play with pressure. And he basically came out and said that playing basketball in the NBA is no pressure compared to what your average person's going through. He touched on how he gets a lot of money to play the game he loves. Gets to help out people and all that. And one of the most respectful quotes I've ever seen. No.
He's not afraid of failure.
That
is an admirable quality.
So, John, what are your takeaways so far from the NBA playoffs?
They've been pretty good, Spurs Nuggets was a good series. 2 pretty boring teams, but it was a good series. I'm telling you, I love Portland. I really would love to see Portland take down the Warriors. I think they'd definitely take down the Rockets, personally.
So my take on the
go ahead.
My take on the NBA playoffs is I just feel this every year is I really can't get that excited about it until it gets to the conference finals.
Yeah. I want to say one more thing. I agree with that too, but I think the Bucks are fine. I'm not worried about them at all. I think they needed a wake-up call. Giannis needed a wake-up call. They were cruising through the Pistons. They're a young team. I think they needed that. They're going to be fine.
Yeah, I think if they can win this second game at home, all they have to do is sneak one out in Boston, and then we're back to even. I think they should be fine as well. But like I said, it does really terrify me that at the thought of not only one Boston team, but 2 Boston teams potentially winning trophies this year in 2019. And the Pats have already done it. So, fuck me.
Bruins are still alive, but they're not getting by Columbus, baby.
Dude, we're going for Columbus. That double OT win, I was in Boston for it. Oh, my goodness. That was just butter on my bread, dude. I loved it.
So, I agree with John, though. To be honest, I haven't watched a ton of the NBA thus far. Now that, the classes are done with, I'm definitely interested in that Milwaukee-Boston series. So I'm going to, start locking in on NBA playoffs a little more because I am interested, and the Warriors have obviously showed weaknesses. So it's definitely going to be intriguing a couple of rounds coming up. But I don't know if either of you have anything else to say, but I feel like maybe a little NFL draft talk, and then I think we need to end with the NHL because I think we're all passionate about the NHL, and that should be, the closing remarks right there.
Yeah, last thing I want to say about
dangle the cheese over the listeners' heads with NHL talk because that's where we get fired.
A little cheese on your burger. Last thing I want to say on the NBA playoffs, if you do feel confidently about the Warriors winning the title, you can now get them at minus 150 to win the whole thing. It's the lowest they've been all year. So if you're looking for a value pick, I'll throw that out there. Other than that, I agree. I'd love to get into the NFL draft. I'll kick it off because I'm not shy tonight, and people know I'm a huge Falcons fan. I don't know what to think about this draft whatsoever. We took two offensive
linemen. You love
so I'll tell you what, our right side of our offensive line going into the draft was the equivalent of whoever was blocking for Mike Wagner when I played high school quarterback. I don't even know who was on the right side. I'm not saying you're bad necessarily, but you're not an NFL lineman. Regardless, they take Chris Lindstrom, a guard out of Boston College. I was absolutely fired up about that. Scouts loved him. He's a good dude. I've met him before. I think he's going to do great. Where they lost me, we trade back into the first round. They get me all excited. I'm out for not my birthday. I'm out celebrating my good friend Mike Rodriguez's birthday. They turn the draft off after about pick 24, and I get an alert that the Falcons trade back in to the first round at pick 31, and I get geared up. I'm excited. I have the live stream up, and who do they take? They take an offensive tackle out of Washington I never heard of before. Now, here's what I want to talk about this guy. Have you read his backstory, either of you guys? Caleb McGarry. This man, his house got evicted in 2008, so he lives in an RV, and the RV burns down.
Whoa.
This man was borderline homeless twice in his life. He goes to Washington, and he just absolutely bullies people. And I have some faith in the Falcons in taking him, but no one wants to pick two offensive linemen in the first round. No one.
No, that's disappointing. I'm sorry.
Other than that, Chad, I did want to ask you, the Falcons rounded out the draft with a couple corners, a couple defensive ends. They take this guy, I believe his name's Kendall Sheffield, out of Ohio State, cornerback. I haven't had a chance to read too much on him, but I was wondering, what am I getting in Kendall Sheffield?
So Sheffield was a junior college transfer into Ohio State. He started the last 2 years, essentially his junior year. Obvious growing pains. He was opposite Denzel Ward his junior season, who's obviously a stud now. And kind of from everything we read and whatnot, he was the next big Ohio State cornerback, freaky athletic, fast, whatnot. And he had a good senior year. I wouldn't say great. Obviously, their defense struggled. Came into the combine, and he was one of the guys that essentially, if he put up big numbers, he could have gotten up to, probably not a first-round pick, but a solid second, third-round pick. And he tore I think it was his bicep, or he tore something. He's injured.
Okay.
And he fell. My thing with him is, and he's raw. So it's a lot of more the fundamental type stuff. And from what I read, it's teachable things. He was on Ohio State's track team. So he has sub 4.4 speed, really athletic. So I like the value pick, especially you got him 5th, 6th round?
We took him in the 4th.
4th? That's okay. That's still, I think, good value. He's not going to be a day one starter, even if he was healthy, but I think he learns for a year or two. I think he'll be a solid starter. So I like the pick.
Okay. I like to hear that. Falcons are doing big things this year. Hopefully the defense stays healthy. They looked like a high school team out there last year. I don't even want to talk about that. As far as the draft goes, any major surprises in the first round, we think?
I have a lot of thoughts about the draft. I'll just say that now.
Yeah, well, let's take
surprises. You want to talk about some surprises?
I'm saying let's talk about the first round and the players, and then I think we should get into some winners and losers as teams. I think that'll be a good way to touch on a lot of different players and whatnot. But like I was the first round, is John Gruden mentally all right?
Dude, I don't know. I don't know what to make of what he was doing. Clelin Ferrell was an absolutely massive reach at 4.
That was the classic Raiders reach, dude. They always reach. They took Darius Hayward-Bay like 8th or 9th a few years back. That was terrible. When I saw Clelin Ferrell the second defensive end off the board, I was shocked.
Yeah. Couldn't believe it. Absolutely.
The disrespect to Josh Allen, and a fun fact, Josh Allen has gone number 7th overall in the past 2 drafts. Awesome.
That's my favorite. That was my favorite stat of the draft. Easily my favorite stat of the draft. But here's the thing about the Raiders. I think they hit a couple of home runs with Josh Jacobs and then Jonathan Abram. I think those were two phenomenal picks for him.
So I think Abram's going to be a stud, but what is it? I just don't know how I feel about taking a running back in the first round if he's not worth a top, 5 pick,
I think he is probably one of the best players available. I have nothing wrong. They needed a running back. Marshawn Lynch is definitely not playing again. They literally had Chad out there at running back last year pretty much. They had nothing. They really needed that. If he's their top rated back, I say take him. Why not?
You guys did see Lynch announced he was retiring again, correct?
Yeah, but he came back once before, so I think John was referring to he's not coming back.
I put little faith in what people say about retiring because
I would like to hit on the Raiders. I get Farrell was a reach, but I don't mind the pick. Like, I think he'll be a really good productive NFL player. I would have traded back to 10 to 15 range, and I think they would have gotten him and possibly added a first-round pick next year, if not a couple second-round picks. I like the Joshua Jacobs pick, especially if they go in, and I still think they'll have a top 5 pick next year, and obviously Gruden's not in love with Carr. So if they go and get a Herbert or Tagovailoa, you pair him with Jacobs, who I think is a freak in the backfield. I mean, I like the pick.
Please put some respect on Trevor Lawrence's name.
He's not eligible next year.
He'll find a way.
He's not.
He'll find a way.
Shout out Clemson getting kind of caught for cheating here. We'll see if anything happens with that. I would love to see them get in trouble.
One tidbit on Clemson. What are our thoughts on Dabo Swinney? Almost got handed $100 million to be the head coach.
I'm so disgusted by that, dude. I hate that so much.
$93 million. I absolutely love Dabo Swinney, so I'm enthralled.
Get that out of my face, dude. I don't need that.
The other big surprise I want to talk about, especially because I'm in New York, I'm talking people were ready to fight at the bar when the New York Giants go up there and they select Daniel Jones, number 6 overall. Oh my, I've never seen more distraught fans.
Dude, I don't know if there's been a GM in the last 5 years to piss off his fans more than Dave Gettleman. I mean, he's up there. He is up there.
Yeah, and talk about desperation. He in classic Gettleman fashion, he comes out after the draft and he goes,
"Thank you."
Oh, there was at least like 3 or 4 teams that would have taken him before he picked at 17. Yeah. No one was taking Daniel Jones.
They're gonna really regret taking him over Haskins. Chad trying to whisper, but we can hear him. It's crazy.
Roommate just brought me a beer.
Like the guy at the lunch table, he's trying to whisper to the guy next to him. Everyone can hear you.
All right, everyone, I want you to mark down this time. I have no idea how far in we are, but Chad's cracked his first beer. He might go off the rails here.
Yep.
Regardless,
Usually,
I think
4 or 5 sips, he starts to get the eyes.
No birth control this week, Chad. Don't take it.
I'll try not.
But you can't honestly tell me that Daniel Jones wasn't going to be available at pick 17. There's just no way in my mind. I'm telling you, he was going to be.
To comment on that, who had Denver traded back from the 10th pick, correct? Just so we're not. They were locked in on Daniel Jones at 10 when he was taken. They traded back, so Jones would have won at 10. Not that was known when the Giants picked, and I agree it's a reach, but Daniel Jones would have gone at 10 to the Broncos.
Dude, I'll tell you what. I in what universe is Daniel Jones a 6 overall pick and Drew Lock is 42?
Yeah.
I think that is mind-boggling. I think the Denver Broncos look like geniuses. They're going to look back and they're going to say this was a hell of a pick. After he leads them to 3 Super Bowls in the next 15 years.
Listen, I'm not sold on Drew Lock, but I agree completely. I think he's better. Someone look me in the face and tell me in what facet of the game Daniel Jones is better than Dwayne Haskins.
No way, right?
I looked at their stats. Dwayne Haskins basically doubled him up across the board. It is absolutely mind-boggling that they took him over him.
I will say this. Daniel Jones, I believe his receivers dropped like a absolutely absurd amount of his passes, like 30%, or not 30%, like probably 30 balls. I don't know. The number 30 is popping in my brain like that was a number to describe how much they dropped his passes. But, I mean, he's nowhere near Haskins or Locke, in my opinion.
I don't know if you saw this Stephen A. Smith tweet, but Daniel Jones was literally a 0-star recruit coming out of high school.
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith literally tweeted he was also a 0-star recruit. Literally the equivalent of Chad making it on a college roster, starting at QB and getting drafted 6th overall.
So
Crazy.
yeah,
Good for him, though. I mean, I hope he does well.
good for
I'll
me.
tell you what, the last thing I
me.
want to say on him is his agent must have done a hell of a job selling him.
Yeah.
So on the Drew
Give that
Lock,
man a new contract.
yeah, damn
No
right.
doubt.
On the Drew Lock subject, hold on, let me take a sip of this nice Bush. So he went 42nd. So Miami was, I believe, 3 picks away originally. I think they had 45 or 48. If Locke had gotten by the 42nd pick and he was available to Miami at, let's say it was a 45th pick, would you guys have rather that? Put it this way: would you rather have a franchise and roll the dice on Drew Lock, or would you rather trade for Josh Rosen? Josh Rosen for a set.
He's one sip in, he's already slurring his words.
Yeah, I'm slurring. Who would you rather take a risk on? A second round pick for Rosen, or actually draft Locke with the second round pick?
So here's what I'm starting to get sold on Josh Rosen. He absolutely blew me away with how he handled this whole situation. I am incredibly impressed, and I've got some new hope for Josh Rosen. I think he might be all right. But
I think he's landing in a really good spot. I really do.
So to answer your question, Chad, I would rather take the risk on Josh Rosen at this point. It's hard to say. Drew Lock's never played an NFL game. Josh Rosen has some experience. He's going to a better team, getting a new start. He's looking like a true professional. So I would take Rosen.
As a Dolphins fan, I will say a better team is pushing it because they could be freaky bad this year. But I'll talk now about this because obviously Dolphins fan here. For those Bills fans who hate me, obviously I put a video up on the Twitter account complimenting the Bills on their pick of, what was it, Devin Singletary, the running back? I think that's who the Bills took.
Yeah.
I complimented him, so let's get that out of the way. It's not all ill will. Like, we'll be okay. Everyone breathe. Everyone relax. Anyhow, a lot of people like the move for Miami. And I look at it this way, and I've said this to a couple people now. Rosen comes in, and first of all, I get Fitzpatrick is there. Miami should start him from day one and see what happens, okay? And if he's brutal, like he was brutal last year, they'll have the first overall pick, and they can take Tagovailoa, Herbert, whatever. And they have 14 other picks. If he's good, you have your franchise quarterback. So, to me, you gave up a second-round pick for kind of a win-win scenario.
Oh, absolutely.
There's not much to dislike about it. I mean, could you have found an NFL caliber starter like in the second round? Yes, 100%. But quarterback is the most important position in the NFL. So,
dude,
I think it's worth it.
You got Rosen and a draft pick.
A second round pick
a
next
draft
year.
Pick.
Yeah.
That's friggin' unbelievable. I mean, you took him behind the woodshed. Can I be honest? I think that's one of the greatest robberies in NFL history.
Let's just be honest. I'm
I think
blanking
Rosen's going to be good there.
I'm blanking on the Cardinals GM's name, but he might have been drinking and driving when he made that trade. Again, not to bash the man about his history, but I really didn't understand the trade whatsoever from the Cardinals. I get you have to get him out of there so Kyler doesn't feel pressure, I guess, but I mean, come on. I'd rather pick him. If he was in the draft, I'm taking him over Daniel Jones. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Dude, here's the thing. When they drafted Kyler before trading Rosen, they lost all leverage. They screwed themselves 100%.
And that's
everyone knew they had to trade him. Everyone knew they had to trade him. His value was dropped so much.
Yeah, and people were like, my roommate was telling me like, no way Miami gets Rosen for anything less than 2 second-round picks. And I'm like, that ain't gonna happen. Miami has all the leverage. Whatever team is negotiating with Arizona has all the leverage at this point because Rosen was in Arizona a backup quarterback. So teams are essentially going to pay as they please to an extent. Obviously, you're not going to get a 7th round, or you can't give a 7th round pick for him. but at the same time, you're not going to get anywhere close to what his initial value was. So, I mean, I I I guess we'll see. And I'm excited in the sense that, I mean, one of the main issues with him is teammates didn't love him, and that could be true. And we'll see what happens in Miami. But
Let's
I
hope
mean,
we don't have another incognito situation, where people are getting bullied and whatnot.
yeah, or that assistant coach that was doing coke off the goddamn table.
Here's the thing. First of all, I misspoke. Actually, a fifth-round pick was also sent to Arizona.
It was a second and a fifth. So Miami traded back in the second round.
Dude,
they sent their pick to New Orleans.
The Cardinals drafted Andy Isabella with that pick. They so essentially traded Andy Isabella for Josh Rosen.
I do like Andy Isabella, though. I will say that.
I've never heard of him.
Just remember that. Well, yeah. I mean, this is the first time to be like, okay, that's respectable. He went to UMass. Scrappy receiver, fast, quick, not big. Maybe I don't know if he's a winner or not. Actually, I don't know how many games he's won in his career.
He's going to be a very good slot guy in the NFL, in my opinion. But again, I agree. Like, the Cardinals couldn't have handled that situation.
All I'm saying is that people are going to look back. So when you think Andy Isabella, you got to think Josh Rosen, who won that trade.
True. What if Josh Rosen wins a Super Bowl? I do want to say it's kind of crazy that the three of the four quarterbacks taken in the first 10 picks last year, they're all playing in the AFC East now. And then there's Tom Brady, obviously, who's the GOAT.
Very exciting storyline.
It's going to be cool to watch Darnold play Allen twice and Darnold play Rosen twice. Well, hopefully Rosen gets some burn. I think he will at some point. It's going to be... I tweeted about this. I think that division's going to be very exciting. Speaking of that division, I'm not even kidding. People that know me know I do not throw this around lightly. I legitimately think the Buffalo Bills might have had the best draft out of any of the 32 NFL teams. I am very sold. I'm all in on Bills Mafia for next year. You're not going to make the playoffs, so don't get greedy, but you guys are on the come up, in my opinion.
Dude, Oliver and Cody Ford, two really sturdy, good, strong, valuable picks, dude.
And then the Bills took my buddy from BC, Tommy Sweeney. He's a tight end in the 7th round. I think he's a good player. They got very good value there. I just really liked what they did overall. I think they addressed a lot of needs. They basically took the best player available every pick, in my opinion. Chad, I know you guys.
Shout out. Oh, Chad, you want to talk?
I was just gonna say. I mean, Buffalo. Yeah. Who's the most important here? Me. Buffalo did. Apparently, they were trying to trade up into the back end of the first round to draft that Cody Ford guy. It didn't work out, and they wound up getting him in the 2nd round. So obviously, there's value there. And let's be honest, Buffalo's offensive line has been horrendous. So that I like the pick, and I also like. I didn't love as much as Ford, but the Singletary pick was all right. And in all honesty, their defense is good. They're going to have a top 10 defense again this year. They've had a top 10 defense the last couple of years. Issue there is they've got some age they have to deal with. Obviously, they had the young linebacker from last year, and they got Oliver this year, who are young, and Tre'Davious White, who's young. But they've got some older guys.
You sound nervous is what you sound.
No, it comes down to Josh Allen's development. I personally have been on the record saying just the accuracy isn't there. So I don't think he's ever going to develop into what you need to make the playoffs. I could be wrong. If Allen develops, they could easily make the playoffs this year. But I personally don't see it. So I don't see them making the playoffs.
They're not going to make it this year, I don't think.
So, I have a question that relates to you two. For their careers, rank the current AFC quarterbacks, obviously outside Brady. Or not AFC East. So Darnold, Allen, Rosen. Rank them how their careers will finish.
Dude, I'm telling you, I'm all in on Josh Allen. So I think he's going to have the best career out of the three. And then I'm going to go Darnold because I also think he's good. I'm just going to put Rosen third because I really haven't seen anything that, really blows me away yet. But he also hasn't had as good of an opportunity as the other two.
I'm fine with that. Fair enough.
I'm gonna be real bold.
He's gonna go with Rosen.
This is different. This changes everything from when I ranked my rookie quarterbacks for my previous list. Changes everything. Flips the script on you. I'm going Rosen, Allen, Darnold. Rosen was my number 5 last time. I literally think he's in such a great situation now. He's going to do so well.
Here's my qualifying question though. So you can rank them. Do you still think they're all going to be good quarterbacks when it's said and done? Like, by good, I mean having longer careers as starters.
I think they all have a chance to at least be average. Like a very, very good, better than not good chance to be average at very worst.
Name an average quarterback in the NFL right now.
Matthew Stafford.
I like that.
I was literally thinking Matthew Stafford earlier. Yeah. If that's like where their careers end up, that's a pretty good career, honestly.
See, I honestly don't know if any of them. I look at Matt Stafford as a guy that really has not had a lot of help in his career. And I love the talent.
He's had a lot of coaching turnover as well. That's going to be key for these guys. They need to have stable coaching staffs.
And I love Stafford's talent. I just think he was screwed with, the coaching turnover, and he just hasn't had a lot of help. So I think there is a lot there that could have been with Stafford. I think these 3 quarterbacks in the AFC East could all be there 3 years and not prove anything and be gone, or they could all be there 10 plus years. I have absolutely no idea what to expect at this point. If I were to guess, and I said it back when we ranked the rookie quarterbacks, I still think Rosen has the most talent. The issue is Miami's an absolute head case with everything. And I will say that as a Dolphins fan. They are just mind-boggling. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if, they struggle this year and Rosen's gone. And that could be the end of his career. And it's something, what could have been. I think he could potentially be the best. And that's who I'm going to go with. And I like Darnold. I think he'll be a solid quarterback. And then Allen, I think these accuracy issues will stick with him through the majority of his career. So it'll be interesting to see how long Buffalo sticks with him.
If you had to put money on one of the guys winning a Super Bowl first, who would you take?
Darnold, definitely.
Speaking of Darnold, I absolutely love the Jets pick with Quinnen Williams. He is so good.
I think he's probably the safest, best player in the draft overall. I think Quinnen Williams probably would be my number 1 on my big board.
I mean, you know what you're going to get from him. He's going to show up every game. They now have an absolutely incredible defensive tandem with Leonard Williams and Quinnen Williams.
Williams and Wilson, Johnson & Johnson, a family company. They're a sponsor now. I've said it twice.
Johnson. Okay.
So before we go to NHL playoffs,
we have to get quick shout
out Deebo Samuel, taken by the 49ers. He's going to be phenomenal. I'm going to buy a jersey. I love that.
The last question I want to ask is quickly, are there any other winners or losers that stick out to you from the draft that we haven't talked about yet? I'm personally going to go. I think the Browns are another winner. They had a great draft. They picked up Greedy Williams in the 2nd or 3rd round?
Yes, and that pick will forever live. That produced my favorite moment of the whole draft, the whole weekend. Jim Brown hobbles on up there. I'm telling you, he's moving as slow as molasses. Poor guy. I turned to my buddy Matt Marzullo. I go, well, I guess we're hearing this pick in the morning. He finally gets up to the podium. He waves his cane in the air. Crowd goes wild. I lost my mind. I lost my damn mind. It was awesome. And then he's reading the card, and he's looking at the card, and he goes, the 20, and then he pauses 6, 7, maybe 8 seconds. We're on the edge of our seat. My jaw slowly dropping the entire time. 2013 NFL draft. Jimbo. That's not even within 5 years, Connor.
Dude, he's obviously been out of it for a while now.
I am so worried about Jim. I really just want daily updates on Jim Brown. Just make sure he's still okay, because that that was concerning. But it was my favorite moment because he's hanging in there and he's showing everyone he's not afraid to get himself on the big stage. He's hanging in there, gritty player. But yeah,
I do want to touch on another guy who announced a pick. If you haven't seen it yet, Pat McAfee delivered an absolute legendary pick. I believe it was in the 3rd round, but if you haven't watched that, go find it. He's a former Colts punter. Very, very hilarious. But yeah, like I said, we're going to move on to NHL here in a sec.
Whoa.
I don't know if there's any losers that really stick out in my mind.
I would like to say another winner. I love what the Colts did. Honestly, 3 second-round picks. They didn't have a first-round pick. They got the guy we actually in our 7th rounders mock draft we mocked in the 1st round, Rocky Ya-Sin, cornerback from Temple. Got him in the 2nd round. Then they go and get I don't know how to say his last name, Ben Banogu, linebacker, TCU, and then one of my favorite picks in the draft, obviously Ohio State guy, Paris Campbell, wide receiver. I really
he's gonna
like
be deadly with Andrew Luck, I think.
Yeah,
That's
him and T.Y. Hilton. I think I really like that. I like what the Colts did. Should we get titillated?
Yeah, we got to do it real quick though, because
rapid fire.
Okay.
Rapid fire titties. Rapid fire.
Boys,
titties.
this week it's a little different. We have a little more trivia. It's no lines or anything. So we're getting a little triviated. We're getting triviated right now.
He just threw us the boondoggle, dude. What's that called? What's the throw comes
napkin.
back?
You threw a napkin.
Boomerang. He threw us the
Boomerang.
boomerang.
Okay.
I called it a boondoggle.
So John's at 37-23, or he's up. God, I'm too drunk. Okay. Okay. John, we're starting with you. On average, how many total minutes of action are there in an MLB game?
I'm titillated. You got me titillated with the trivia, dude. Well, I didn't know I was walking into the bar for Monday Night Trivia. Oh, man. I live for this.
Yeah, have a little Bush Light with your
Minutes of
trivia.
action. I'm going to say in an MLB game, on average, there are about 23 minutes of action.
Dude, oh wow, it's just of action. It's not how long the game is. Jeez, man, this is tough. I should ask a lot of qualifying questions, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to throw a number out there. I'm going to go with a half hour.
John, your pick was fucking awesome. It was 18 minutes. I don't know how you
Wow.
Wow.
I'm just nice, dude.
Is John Clemens the
nice.
smartest man in the world?
He might be the Messiah.
What? Kind of nice.
All right, number 2.
Tell you what, I'm a good wedge player. You see me in Tiger Woods PGA Tour for the 360. I'm a good wedge player.
Fun fact, I watched the back 9 of the Masters yesterday. I watched the full back 9. But okay.
Shout out Matt Marzullo. We play a little PGA. He ended up winning $4. It was tough. The front 9, first 10 holes, even unbelievable, back and forth, and then he took over. Anyway, take the floor for titty number 2.
Connor, Trivatitty, number 2. Babe Ruth played 15 seasons with the Yankees. In that 15 years, how many World Series did he win with the Bronx Bombers?
I feel like this is something I should actually know, but I don't. I'm going to go with 3.
You should have said what...
I'm going to go ahead and say they've won 26 or 27.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and say, and he's, obviously everyone knows his name. There's got to be a reason for it. He's won 5.
I was going to say 4, and it's 4.
It is 4.
Wow, we need a tiebreaker. It's the first ever tiebreaker.
All right, I'll get one up while we keep going. Back to John, because that was a... Actually, we'll go Connor again, since it was a pick 'em. I'll have to pick another one up on the fly. This will be tough. Connor, so out of all of...
I'm appealing this after the show that he gets to go first. You're just saying.
All right. Out of all of the NFL Hall of Famers, what percentage of them played for multiple teams?
Oh my! I don't even know how many players are in the Hall of Fame. I'm gonna go with 20%.
Are you saying what percentage of NFL players are in the Hall of Fame?
No. What percentage of NFL Hall of Famers played for multiple teams?
Holy hell. I'm Way higher than 20. You said 20?
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot
That's
of
not
old
even
guys in the
close.
Hall of Fame that didn't switch teams.
No, there's no way. I'm going 49%.
46%.
Wow.
I'm pretty damn good, Connor. And you stole that question. You shouldn't have gone first there. That's insult to injury, baby. I'm hot.
All right, John, start us off. In 2004, one of Barry Bonds' best years, how many times was he intentionally walked?
162.
That's a pretty safe bet. Won a game. I'm gonna go.
Intentionally?
Yeah,
I'm gonna leave it that. I'll leave it that. That's okay.
I'm gonna go 150.
46 times.
I answered way too fast. I thought you just said walk. How many times has he walked in general? You had that number?
No, I didn't. I just had the intentional walks.
We needed
I
that
answered-
summer intern, man.
I answered too fast. That was what we call in the industry. That was what we call a heat check. We needed that. Beat myself. Played myself like a fiddle. Played myself like a fiddle on a Tuesday night, dude.
Okay.
Sad.
Connor's on the board. From 1918 to 1949, how many winning seasons did the Philadelphia Phillies have?
All right, so they were basically playing with no helmets, a stick, and a ball they made out of clay.
How the
Back
game was
then.
meant to be played. Yes, exactly.
The
Wait.
Phillies, I'm gonna say they had.
Wait. Yeah, go ahead. Wait. Your Phillies is baseball. What do you mean stick? It's not hockey.
Is this?
I
kid
think he's
stupid,
exaggerating
dude?
how long ago it was.
Okay, good.
Keep up, dude. Come on.
Okay,
Be
Bats are made of wood. You have sticks made of wood. It's not that hard to figure out, buddy.
go on.
Anyways, I'm gonna go with. He goes, "Aren't the Phillies an MLB team?" He forgot even. I'm gonna go with 8.
11.
One winning season.
That's a bad team. That's an unfathomably bad team. Damn, that's poor.
All right, and
Stretch in professional sports. Actually, Pittsburgh Pirates had 0 for about 20 some years, so that's pretty bad too.
all right, here's the tiebreaker. Back to John. Okay, so Wayne Gretzky, as a 20-year-old, had one of the best seasons in NHL history. Okay, how many points or how many total points did he break the record for most points in a season by?
So you're saying the difference between his record and the next best point total?
Yes, as a 20-year-old. So he went on to break it later on, but his 20-year-old season, what did he break the record by for most points?
14.
50.
65. Connor wins a week. Holy shit.
40. Did you say 65?
Yeah.
He,
I think he had like 230 assists that year or something
Wayne
wild like
Gretzky-
that.
I'll read the fact. Wayne Gretzky broke the all-time single-season goal record by 16 goals and the points record by 65 points as a 20-year-old for the Edmonton Oilers.
I was really spot on with that goal as if your question was goal. Yikes.
Wow. He's unquestionably the GOAT. One of the few sports I think there's a clear GOAT in.
Yeah.
So John is now up 39-26.
Connor really
made up some
responded
ground.
after I kind of got too fired up too early. I got a heat check and then I got cold. So that's what happens sometimes. We're going to regroup, watch some film. We're going to get back on the horse, and we're gonna do it again next week. Luckily, I'm up by 1 million, so it really doesn't matter.
True.
All right, so
I'm gonna
let's,
have to get a few more concussions, go like brain dead to lose.
You're going to have to get Shaviznikov like 7 times for it.
Yeah.
All right, so speaking of Shavitsnikov, we should quickly touch on the NHL playoffs since it's a regular
It's our
favorite.
Last call, dude. Last call for alcohol. Round table. NHL playoff thoughts, concerns, questions, comments.
Yeah, let's just give our last call thoughts on the NHL, and we'll hit on it more next week because it'll still be going. I will go and just say San Jose Sharks currently tied 1-1 with Colorado. They're still my Stanley Cup pick. I'm holding strong after last week's predictions.
I didn't think they were going to get by Vegas. I'll give it to you. That's a good pick for you. Martin Jones stepped up big time to end the series for him.
Usually he stinks, but he stepped up.
Yeah.
John, say stinks. You're good at saying that.
He usually stinks, dude.
Okay.
Dude, I'm so fired up. Columbus is still winning games, man. I can't even. We're going to Columbus. I'm
Those are our
feeling it by the
guys.
day. Yeah,
Dude,
I'm
you
literally
see
feeling it.
my favorite story that makes me love this team even more now. I kind of need a jersey. Brandon Dubinsky is dragging the city of Boston in the mud with him, dude. He was interviewed. The guy asked him what he thinks the atmosphere in Columbus is going to be. He goes like, I know the fans are going to be crazy and it's going to be a hell of a lot louder than it was here in Boston. So that's number one after they won double overtime. And today in his interview room, media availability wore a Milwaukee Bucks hat. He loves it. Absolutely loves it. He's my favorite player right now.
And I saw this is, I believe, Columbus's first victory in round 2 of the NHL playoffs ever. I think they've been around for 20-some years.
Yeah, shitty franchise. Shitty.
Exciting times, though.
How can't you root for him?
It's hard. In other news, the Islanders are getting spanked right now by Carolina. Shout out, John. The Hurricanes are still playing, dude.
The Canes are looking. If you give me a Canes Columbus Eastern Conference final, I might lose my friggin' mind. That's going to be one of the greatest series you've ever seen in your life. I can call that right now. I'll say go to 7. I don't know who the hell is going to win. It's going to be awesome. I really need it more than anything.
That's 2 gritty teams playing hockey.
2 good teams.
Mm-hmm.
Very good teams.
Who else do we still have left in the Western Conference? We got Boston and Columbus.
It's the Blues and the Avalanche. This series doesn't excite me a ton.
Blues and the Stars, right?
The Blues and the Stars.
It's the Blues and the Stars.
John's
lying
on the air.
I just lied on the air because the Western Conference just doesn't excite me like the Eastern Conference does right now. I'll be honest.
True.
Is West Coast bias in sports a thing? I mean, East Coast bias.
Dude, I can get behind the Canes and Columbus with a lot of passion. There's not a team in the West I can look at right now and be like, yeah, these are my guys. I just can't.
Someone's
got to fire me up.
My problem with the Western Conference NHL playoffs is like I'm not staying up till 1 a.m. on a Tuesday to watch the San Jose Sharks play Colorado.
They're late games. I mean, I guess, and if I had to be picky, I would love to see Colorado just because of McKinnon. He's a phenomenal player. The Dallas Stars' first line is very exciting with Ben and Seguin, but I mean, I can't get behind them like I can get behind those other 2 teams.
Someone tell me when the Stars got Ben Bishop.
They've always had him.
They always had him. He played for the Lightning for about 20 years.
He's been there for a while.
I don't know how anyone can score on that frame. I mean, he's takes
6'7",
up so much,
right? He's
like
6'7" man.
It's like a Nick Edgar in that. Just beefy. Just a lot of gut. A lot of gut.
So weak.
Yeah.
Who's your prediction for the Stanley Cup?
Now it is San Jose.
Let's say who's gonna take these series we got right here, the semifinals.
All right, we'll do that and wrap it up. So, like I said, I got San Jose. I'm gonna take Carolina because screw it. I'm gonna go. I will never take Boston, and I hate Columbus, but I'll go Columbus. And then I will take. Who are the Islanders playing?
Carolina.
They're playing Carolina. They're getting smoked 2-0.
Oh, I already said I'd take Carolina. So what's the other game? Oh, I'll take the Blues. Give me the Blues.
I'm going Stars, Sharks, Carolina, Columbus.
I like that a lot. I like that a ton. I'm going Stars as well. I think that first line is just clicking. Binnington has been phenomenal in that for the Blues, but I don't know if he's going to keep doing it. He's young. He's a rookie. So I'm going Stars there. I'm going
rookie
Avs.
at like 28 years old, but okay.
I'm going Avs simply because I want them. I'm sick of the Stars for the most part.
You mean the Sharks?
Dude, the Avs play the Sharks, bro.
I can't get off of that. I'm just all in a pretzel because I'm so fired up talking about the East. Give me the Avs over the Sharks. I quit with the West. We're like an hour 10 in. My brain's melted at this point. I'm fried. Give me the Hurricanes over the Islanders. I think the Islanders are pretty sunk at this point. This series going back to Carolina. They're up 2-0. All they need to do is win one there. Pressure's off. I could see them sweeping them, though. But not with Barry Trotz, so I think they'll win 3-1. 3-1 series or 4-1 series win. I'm absolutely checked out. I said 3-1
quick
twice.
Question on Barry Trotz. He was the guy that won the Stanley Cup with Washington last year, correct?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Okay.
If anyone fan here, Connor Powers, NHL.
I told you
I
only tune in for the playoffs. I'm gonna be honest about it. So
you just
regardless,
the game. Again, that last game, give me Columbus. Simple as that.
That's fair.
That's my.
We're going to Columbus. That's all I know. Does anyone have any last words? I want to touch on Game of Thrones real briefly for about a minute. That's all I got left.
I'm giving you 27 seconds.
All right, that's fine. I just want to. So last night was an absolute whirlwind. The Battle of Winterfell. Night King dies. Spoiler alert.
Well, I've never watched the show. I gotta mute you.
I just want to shout out Arya Stark. She is an absolute savage for taking him down with a little dagger drop to the stomach. It got me fired up. I watched the episode standing up for the most part. Oh, man, this is a great TV show. I'm going to miss it. But thank you again for listening to us talk about, for the most part, horse shit. For this week 17 now, so thank you. Like I said, website coming soon. We're excited. We want to get some more content out to you guys. With that being said, take us off into the sunset.
Yes,
we love you guys.
AJ. And shout out fucking Cody Bellinger because he's the greatest baseball player ever. AJ, hit us with a little pill and Ibiza to send us off. We love you.